What's up, my friends? No wasting time. Let's get straight to what matters because everybody keeps talking about the Patriots schedule like that alone is supposed to erase everything this team accomplished last season. And honestly, it's becoming one of the laziest narratives around the NFL right now. The second the schedule dropped, people immediately started saying the Patriots were going to fall off, miss the playoffs, and take a major step backward. Then Ryan Clark went on television and doubled down on it, basically dismissing everything New England built last year as if the Super Bowl run happened by accident. But when you actually listen closely to the arguments being made, almost none of them are about football. It's always the same thing repeated over and over again. The schedule is harder. That's it. That's the analysis. And Patriots fans should be frustrated hearing that because this team already proved they can win in multiple ways. They proved they can survive playoff football. They proved they can dominate defensively when the pressure gets higher. They proved they can lean on Drake Maye when the spotlight gets massive. Yet somehow none of that matters anymore because analysts are obsessed with strength of schedule conversations in May. What gets ignored is the reality of the NFL itself. Every single year, teams lose games they're supposed to win. Every year, playoff contenders get upset by teams nobody expected. The Patriots didn't create their own schedule last season. They played who was in front of them, and they won football games. That's what good teams do, and what makes the criticism even more ridiculous is the fact that other contenders benefited from favorable schedules too, but nobody talks about that. Nobody spends hours attacking other AFC contenders for close wins or weaker opponents. The conversation only seems to happen when it's New England, and now suddenly people are pretending the Patriots are some fragile team that can't handle tougher competition, even though the roster is actually better than it was during the Super Bowl run. That's the part people keep ignoring. New England didn't sit around after making the Super Bowl and decide to run everything back unchanged. They attacked weaknesses aggressively. They upgraded the roster in important areas. The additions matter. Kevin Byard brings experience and elite production to the secondary. Romeo Doubs gives Drake Maye another reliable target at receiver. Draymond Jones adds toughness and edge-setting ability to the defensive front. Elijah Vera Tucker helps stabilize protection up front, which becomes massive for a quarterback like Drake Maye, who already showed MVP-level flashes despite offensive line problems at times last season. And when you look at the departures, there really isn't a move that destroys the core identity of the team. Most of the important pieces remain intact. Christian Barmore is still there. Milton Williams is still there. Christian Gonzalez remains one of the premier corners in football. Marcus Jones, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane. The defensive core is loaded with proven production and experience. That defense was already one of the best units in football last season. People can scream about schedule strength all they want, but eventually you have to look at what happened once the playoffs started. Before the Super Bowl, the Patriots defense allowed only 26 total points during the postseason run. They pressured quarterbacks constantly. They controlled games physically. They made elite offenses uncomfortable. They made CJ Stroud look completely overwhelmed. They consistently won on third down. They generated sacks in huge moments. Those aren't fake stats built against weak opponents. That happened in playoff football against teams that earned their way there. And honestly, the biggest reason Patriots fans should still feel confident entering this season is simple: Drake Maye. The leap he made last year changed the direction of the franchise. The numbers alone were impressive, but what stood out even more was how composed he looked in massive moments. He wasn't padding stats in meaningless situations. He elevated in primetime games. He handled pressure. He protected the football. The completion percentage jumped. The touchdown production exploded. His command of the offense became obvious as the season progressed. And the scary part for the rest of the league is that there's still room for growth. The Patriots know the offensive line needed help. That's why adding Elijah Vera Tucker matters so much. That's why getting healthier across the front matters. A more stable offensive line changes everything for Drake Maye because it allows Josh McDaniels to fully expand the offense instead of constantly compensating for protection breakdowns. You could already see moments last season where Drake Maye looked like one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in football. The arm talent is obvious. The confidence is obvious. The ability to attack every level of the field is obvious. And when the lights got brighter, his level didn't drop. That's something franchises spend decades searching for. So when people say the Patriots are suddenly going to collapse because the schedule got tougher, it feels like they're ignoring the most important part of the equation entirely. Elite quarterback play changes everything in this league. league. And if Drake Maye takes another step forward this season, New England is not just a playoff team, they become dangerous again. That's why this entire conversation around the Patriots feels so strange right now. Analysts are acting like last season was some fluke story that can't happen twice, while Patriots fans are looking at a roster that genuinely improved in multiple areas. The defense still looks elite, the quarterback looks like a future superstar, the coaching staff has experience winning deep into January, and the roster has more depth than it did a year ago. So now the real question becomes this: if Drake Maye truly takes that next step into the NFL's elite quarterback tier this season, how many teams in the AFC are actually better than the Patriots right now? What makes this even more frustrating for Patriots fans is the way national media keeps moving the goalposts whenever New England succeeds. Last year, before the season even started, almost nobody expected this team to make a real run. There were questions everywhere. People questioned Drake Maye's readiness. People questioned whether Mike Vrabel could immediately change the culture. People questioned whether the defense had enough star power to carry the team through a playoff run. Then the Patriots answered every single one of those doubts on the field. And instead of giving them credit, the conversation immediately shifted to excuses about schedule strength. That's why Ryan Clark's comments hit such a nerve with fans. It wasn't just criticism. Patriots fans can handle criticism. It was the complete dismissal of everything this team proved. Saying the Patriots are going to miss the playoffs because they won't sneak up on teams anymore ignores the fact that great teams don't rely on surprise. Great teams win because they're talented, disciplined, and built correctly. And that's exactly what New England started becoming last season. Look at the roster from top to bottom. This isn't a rebuilding team anymore. This is a roster that expects to compete. The secondary alone is one of the deepest groups in football. Christian Gonzalez has already established himself as a lockdown corner capable of matching up with elite receivers. Carlton Davis brings physicality and veteran experience. Marcus Jones continues to be one of the most versatile players on the defense. Then you add Kevin Byard into the mix, and suddenly this defense has leadership everywhere. And that defensive line could become a nightmare for opposing offenses. Christian Barmore and Milton Williams already gave offenses major problems last season because of the interior pressure they generated. Now you add Draymond Jones and a healthy Harold Landry into the rotation, and suddenly offensive lines are going to have problems identifying where pressure is coming from. That's the kind of depth championship defenses need. It's not about one superstar carrying everything. It's about waves of pressure, constant physicality, and forcing quarterbacks into mistakes. That's exactly what the Patriots defense did during the playoff run. People forget how dominant they looked before the Super Bowl. They weren't just winning games, they were controlling games. Quarterbacks looked uncomfortable all game long. Opposing offenses struggled to stay on the field. The Patriots dictated tempo defensively, and that identity isn't disappearing overnight just because the schedule looks tougher on paper. And honestly, some of the teams being hyped up ahead of New England don't even look that intimidating when you really break them down. The Jets still have major questions. The Dolphins continue struggling with consistency. The Raiders are far from complete. Pittsburgh may have added Aaron Rodgers, but there are still concerns there too. Even some of the NFC contenders on the schedule have weaknesses that can absolutely be attacked. The Patriots don't need to go undefeated against elite teams to remain contenders. They just need to continue doing what successful NFL teams do: protect the quarterback, force turnovers, and win situational football. That's where Drake Maye changes everything, because when you have a quarterback capable of taking over games, your ceiling becomes completely different. Last season proved that Drake Maye isn't just talented physically, he can handle pressure mentally too. There were multiple moments where the Patriots needed him to make critical throws late in games, and he delivered. His confidence never seemed rattled. Even during tougher stretches, he continued attacking defenses aggressively, and that's why the offensive improvements matter so much entering this season. If the offensive line becomes more stable with Elijah Vera Tucker helping inside and healthier protection overall, Drake Maye's production could explode even further. Josh McDaniels finally has the flexibility to fully open up the offense. The Patriots can attack vertically more consistently. They can become more balanced. They can protect leads better. They can create explosive plays without putting everything entirely on Drake Maye improvising under pressure. And if the Patriots really do land another major offensive weapon like A.J. Brown, suddenly this offense becomes dangerous in a completely different way. Imagine defenses trying to deal with Romeo Doubs, Kyle Williams, and A.J. Brown while also accounting for Drake Maye's ability to extend plays. That changes how teams defend New England entirely. Safeties can't cheat as aggressively, corners get isolated more often, the middle of the field opens up. Everything becomes more difficult for opposing defenses once elite quarterback play combines with legitimate weapons. That's why this narrative that New England is somehow headed backward just doesn't line up with what's actually happening inside the roster. The Patriots aren't relying on luck. They're building around a young franchise quarterback who already showed he can compete at the highest level. They're strengthening the defense instead of letting it decline. They're adding experience. They're adding versatility. They're adding protection up front. Those are the moves serious contenders make after a Super Bowl appearance. And maybe the biggest thing people outside New England still don't understand is this. Confidence inside that building has completely changed. This team expects to win now. The mentality is different. The expectations are different. Players aren't talking like a rebuilding franchise hoping to stay competitive. They're talking like a team that believes another deep playoff run is realistic. That matters in the NFL. Teams that truly believe they belong among contenders usually play differently once adversity hits during the season. And adversity will come this year because the schedule is tougher. Nobody is denying that. But tougher schedules also create opportunities. Primetime games create opportunities. Big matchups create opportunities. And if Drake Maye performs the way Patriots fans believe he can in those moments, the entire national conversation around this franchise could completely flip again by mid-season, because at the end of the day, nobody fears schedules in January. They fear elite quarterbacks, dominant defenses, and teams built for playoff football. The Patriots already showed flashes of all three last season. So now the pressure shifts to Drake Maye, and this roster to prove last year wasn't the peak, it was only the beginning. But if they do that, if this team really takes another step forward despite the tougher opponents, then how long will it take before everyone is forced to admit the Patriots are officially becoming one of the AFC's biggest powers again? And the craziest part about all of this is that the Patriots still feel like a team that hasn't fully unlocked its ceiling yet. Usually when a team reaches the Super Bowl, especially with a young quarterback, you can point to a season where everything broke perfectly in their favor.